Just when you thought the FSCA has no teeth, they rip off their mouth guard and show that they do have a bite.
FBI, open up!
Okay, so recently we went through the articles of how JPMARKETS is currently celebrating their win that they had at the Supreme Court of Appeal, and obviously you can guess that the FSCA has something to say about this. Now they have released a statement and we're going to talk about it today. So as I was casually scrolling through Google this morning to find more information on this FSCA JPMARKETS situation, I came across this article by MoneyWeb. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, especially the JPMARKETS saga that I used to cover in the past, you would know that I used MoneyWeb's articles as a point of reference quite a lot. Now, we are using them once again, and they do insert some commentary from Justin Paulson himself, but most importantly, they have inserted the response and statement from the FSCA. Now, we will read through the article, and then I will come back with my commentary on which points really stood out for me. So, we're on MoneyWeb's page now, and as you can see, first off, it says, the headline, it says, FSCA was wrong to shut down JPMARKETS, Supreme Court. Ruling provides legal certainty to other online brokers operating in South Africa and opens the door to a potentially massive damages claim against the authority. Immediately, you can get an eerie feeling to the rest of the article. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority, FSCA, was wrong to shut down JPMARKETS, then South Africa's largest online broker with more than 300,000 clients, according to a judgment handed down on Wednesday by the Supreme Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court of Appeal overturned a 2020 ruling by the South Gauteng High Court for the liquidation of JPMARKETS and ordered the FSCA to pay the costs of 2 counsels for JPMARKETS. We are delighted with this ruling, which naturally presents us with a few options, says JPMARKETS CEO and founder Justin Paulson. The ruling overturns the liquidation order, and what is encouraging is that it was the unanimous verdict of all 5 judges at the SCA. Our business was unlawfully destroyed by the FSCA, and there has to be accountability for that, he adds. We will be discussing our options with our legal team, and that will include a possible damages claim against the regulator and the resuscitation of JPMARKETS as an online broking business in South Africa. The ruling will also give relief to 16 other online brokers, the FSCA told MoneyWeb, that were under investigation for possible regulatory transgressions. The FSCA says it will abide by the SCA's judgment and commence processing the application by JPMARKETS for an over-the-counter product provider license, adding that JPMARKETS is not licensed as an OTP product provider, neither is it entitled to conduct the business of an OTP product provider until a decision has been made by the authority on the status of its application. Paulson and JPMARKETS argued in court that the FSCA had overstepped its regulatory powers by liquidating a company that was not insolvent and that was attempting to bring itself under the ambit of the law by applying for a so-called over-the-counter derivatives provider license, which is required for the trading of a type of derivative product known as contracts for difference, or CFDs. CFD traders can track the price movements of actual financial instruments without having to own the underlying asset. JPMARKETS clients could pick from more than 500 instruments, from forex to indices and individual stocks. Darren Hanekom, attorney for JPMARKETS, says all allegations leveled against JPMARKETS and Paulson in the media and by the FSCA have now been expunged. JPMARKETS, for all intents and purposes, absolved, and its character is JPMARKETS is, for all intents and purposes, absolved, and its character as Africa's biggest forex broker restored, says Hanekom. The SCA ruling found that JPMARKETS had not been guilty of obfuscation, as was claimed by the FSCA, nor did it present a systemic risk to its clients or the financial markets generally, and that there was no conflict of interest in its dealings with clients. JPMARKETS was transparent in acknowledging that it was counterparty to clients in most trades, meaning it would win where a client lost a trade and vice versa. There was no attempt to conceal this information. Clients were broadly split into 2 categories, A book and B book. able clients trade directly with what is known as a liquidity provider who furnishes the bid-offer spread on a trade. The FCA judgment dealt with JP Markets and its relationship to its B-book clients who constituted the bulk of the business. Certain clients were flagged as toxic due to the fact that they attempted to partake in collusive or prohibited trading which violated JP Markets' terms and conditions. The FCA found nothing objectionable in the practice of JP Markets issuing differentiated spreads to clients that had been deemed toxic. There was no obfuscation by JP Markets in so doing, said the FCA, contradicting the ruling of the lower court. The FCA ruling says the decision to liquidate JP Markets was neither just nor equitable, which is part of the legal test for the closure of any company by the regulator. The starting point must be that JP Markets is a solvent company and a substantial concern. It employs 70 permanent employees at a monthly cost of more than 1 million rand, says the SCA ruling. It paid in excess of 1 billion rand to thousands of its clients during the period of 3 months preceding the liquidation application. It was not disputed that its own cash equity amounted to approximately 220 million rand. As part of its motivation in applying to the South Gauteng High Court to close down JP Markets, the FSCA pointed to numerous complaints received by clients during the COVID crash on March 16, 2020. A crash severe enough to trigger a trading halt in thousands of brokerages across the world. Due to a technical error, JP Markets continued to quote prices on trading instruments that were either incorrect or absent. Affected clients were restored to the positions they had been before the trading halt. Whilst clients who had lost money were refunded, the profits of others were reversed, which understandably might have caused dissatisfaction and complaints, read the SCA ruling. JP Markets nevertheless pointed out that around 100 dissatisfied clients did not represent a large percentage of its approximately 300,000 clients. It said that it did its utmost to retain clients in a very competitive environment. It said it would be counterproductive to arbitrarily deny withdrawal requests or to cause unnecessary delays, and that it did not do so. The evidence therefore did not establish that the business of JP Markets constituted a systemic risk to its clients or to financial markets generally. It follows that the only remaining relevant factor was that JP Markets had been doing business as an ODP without a license. In this regard, it was in the first place not irrelevant that it was not the only one to do so. In the course of the legal process, it emerged that few of JP Markets' competitors had applied for an ODP license and that the FSCA had not taken steps against any of these. So, obviously at this point we have heard the one side of the article here on MoneyWeb, and the one side of the article seems really biased, I will not lie. It seems like I'm literally irritated as I'm sitting here because it seems like it's just favoring Justin. That whole time you never heard how this is now gonna benefit the clients. You never heard how the clients was gonna be paid out now. You never even heard if the clients that was waiting on withdrawals was gonna get paid out now. And that really irritates me because all you heard put forth was JP Markets, JP Markets, JP Markets. You never heard how this absolvency of him catching on all of this nonsense, how that will benefit the client. And that irritates the crap out of me. There's a level of disgust that would get me in trouble if I had to share it here online. So let's get into the FSCA's response. The FSCA has noted the decision of the Supreme Court of Appeal to overturn the judgment of the Gauteng Division of the High Court, which had allowed for the liquidation of JP Markets. The FSCA has also noted the Honourable Court's interpretation with reference to the fair and equitable principle. The authority intends to abide by the judgment and will now proceed with the processing of the application by JP Markets for an over-the-counter OTP product provider license and the consideration of all outstanding enforcement actions. The FSCA brings to the attention of the public that JPMARKETS is not licensed as an OTP product provider, neither is it entitled to conduct the business of an OTP product provider until a decision has been made by the authority on the status of its application. Members of the public should always check that an entity or individual is registered with the FSCA to provide financial advisory and intermediary services, and what category of advice it is that the entity is registered to provide. There are instances where persons are registered to provide basic advisory services for a low-risk product and then offer services of a far more complex and risky nature. The FSCA reminds customers who wish to conduct financial services with an institution or person to check beforehand with the FSCA on either toll-free number or on its website whether such institution or person is authorized to render financial services. And I know I have demonstrated it so many times here before, but I will link the website's link in the description so that you guys can go and find it. Okay, so we have heard from the FSCA now. We have gone through their side and their response to the situation. But now I'm just going to go through what stood out for me throughout this whole article. So the first point that stood out for me is the fact that Justin Paulson is now looking to hold the FSCA accountable. And I mean, granted, the FSCA ruled in his favor, so I guess this one was a given, because obviously now JP feels like he has a point to prove. It feels like he has been right all along, the FSCA has been wrong, and he just wants to take legal action now. He just wants to make sure that someone is held accountable. The second point that I wanted to make is that, guys, we are in deep shit. There is 16 brokers roaming around like predators, lurking on us that we don't know about, because these brokers have not yet been named. 16 brokers have been given relief based off the outcomes of this case. This is super insane to me. This is super insane to me. So if, like, guys, when it comes to brokers, be careful. Doesn't matter who it is, when it comes to brokers, be careful. We just heard now, there's 16 unregistered, 16 unlicensed, 16 unauthorized predators roaming around looking to scam individuals that doesn't know what's happening. So please be aware, please go to the FSCA's website and check that the broker that you're about to sign up with is registered, and also check in which capacity they are registered. Please, we need to stop blaming people now. Like, everything from this point forward is on us. Everything from this point forward is on us. The decision making, who we sign up with, who we go to brokerages for, all of these things, it falls on us now. And from this point forth, we literally need to stop blaming other people. Like, it's clear now. It's clear. Obviously, if 16 brokers can be identified for not being authorized in the correct way, you can obviously guess what is happening behind the curtains. The third point that is really, that shouts at me, that screams at me, is the A-book, B-book part. Like, I know the A-book, B-book broker thing has been spoken about in the industry. I know there's a lot of people that would reiterate what an A-book and what a B-book broker is, but seeing now, right, that they operate with an A-book and a B-book, nah, that is already eye-opening to me. To me, having an A-book and a B-book, I'm gonna stay away. Now, the fourth point that really jumped at me was the fact that the B-book made up the most of where the clients were divided into. And I quote, B-book clients constituted the bulk of the business. So obviously we have heard that, number one, the B-book side of things means the broker is the counterparty, and with this being clear, it's clear that majority of the people that signed up with JPMARKETS was put into the B-book. So you weren't trading with a liquidity provider. You were trading against JP Markets. Point number 5, based on FSCA's reply, you can clearly hear that they are not taking it laying down. This reply of them, this response of them to me, right, was just shade upon shade upon shade that was being thrown. And I will elaborate shortly why. And then number 6, the 6th point that I wanted to make here is that the FSCA noted that Justin Paulson and the 6th point here is that the FSCA noted that JP Markets is not authorized yet and that they are not entitled to do business yet in that capacity until the authority have licensed and authorized them to do so. So guys, with that being said, do not rush so fast back to JP Markets, because I see a whole lot of people is excited about it fairly, so we all sign up with who we want to sign up with, but please do be careful. Now, I did say I was gonna elaborate on why I believe the FSCA is not gonna take this laying down, and the reason why I say so is because they clearly make it a note to say that they are now gonna pursue other enforcement actions. They are gonna consider the other enforcement actions. So what that means now is obviously that the liquidation route was the wrong route. It wasn't the correct route, because based on the liquidation, a company has to have no money, right? They have to be insolvent. And in JP Markets case, like the article noted now, they had over 200 million rand ready for payout. So there was no way that this would have flown with a liquidation. There's no way. The guy is solvent. There is money, right? But now, with them noting that the FSCA is considering all other outstanding enforcement actions, it means that they are going to use the evidence they have and go a different route with this. Or that is what I am reading from this, rather. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion, but that is literally what I am reading from this. And there's a good lawyer friend that I actually spoke to that actually told me that the FSCA went the wrong route. They wasn't supposed to go along the lines of the liquidation, because JP Markets wasn't insolvent to no stretch of the imagination, but they should have gone a different route, because the evidence was so much that something considerable would have happened. But nonetheless, the FSCA ruled in JP Markets' favor, and yeah, let them celebrate. Let's wait until the FSCA comes back, because like they said, they are now gonna go back and process his application. And for me, like I said, I feel like their response was just a lot of shade, because to me it was like they are now gonna go back and they're gonna go and deny that application, and they're gonna deny it based on the evidence. They now know that the liquidation route didn't work, so they are now gonna go a different route. I don't know. Let's see how it turns out. Let's see if the FSCA events will bite back. But obviously, like I said, like they have said, they will consider the other outstanding enforcement actions. I'm keen to see what it is. If you are keen to, please do smash that like button. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Please do leave your comments in the comment section, because I'm really keen to hear what you guys have to say now that we have broken some stuff down, if you came this far also, then I will be releasing a video where we break down the judgment. I have a copy of the judgment, so we are going to break down the judgment, and we are going to go through the things that stands out the most in the judgment that we can relate to and that we know of. But yeah, we will go through that as well, so that video is dropping soon. Keep an eye on the channel. But yeah, leave your comments in the comment section. I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say. Please share this around so that people can be aware of the notification and the warning that the FSCA has also put out. And yeah, if you're new here, please do smash that subscribe button. It would be awesome to have you as a new subscriber. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.